Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about applying the communication process to the advertising business. And as we start off growing up, one of the most funniest videos that I remember seeing commercials was the Taco Bell Chihuahua commercial where they utilized this really cute dog. And I wanted to share this with you as a quick 30-second spot as we get started.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
So hopefully you enjoyed that. And really the issue at play here when we're discussing consumer behavior and the process of marketing an idea to the consumer, the main question is will the consumer actually consume? Will you actually go to Taco Bell after seeing this campaign roll out in the late 90s? And as a matter of fact, one of the biggest strategies for marketers and communicators to do is to actually apply some of the basic fundamental concepts of communication to the advertising process. So here's where we blend human communication with advertising. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today, is looking at communication between the sender and the receiver, and how through that interaction there tends to be maybe some noise factors, a lot of things that will really get the audience to respond, or in some cases not respond. In the case of Taco Bell, we have indicated in the beginning part that the Chihuahua was really cute, but it didn't necessarily translate into increased sales for Taco Bell. So let's move into the first component of a few in the communication process. And if you've ever taken a human communication or a speech communication course, these concepts, these ideas will resonate with you. So let's start with the source. This is in the advertising world, this is the agency that creates the content. Or if you're thinking of a general conversation, it's the person who starts off the conversation. This is the source. This is the encoder of the message. So in this case, it could be the advertiser. It could be Taco Bell, for example. Then we move into the message. The message is considering not just the verbal audio messages that you receive, say in a commercial, or it could also be the nonverbals, the behaviors that oftentimes people exhibit, but in advertising, most of it has to do with the signs that might be utilized in an advertisement. So it could be the logo, it could be verbally, it could be the slogan. Signs could also involve color. It could also involve the way it's shot, when it's shot. And so the symbols that make up the overall message is really important here, because we're considering the study of what's called semiotics. And that's looking at how the source is basically utilizing these colors, these imageries to establish some form of a message. As we move on, we look at the additional aspects to the process. So the source creates a message, and then they have to decide, through the process, how it is going to be transmitted. So the channel is extremely important for advertisers, right? To consider, is it going to be a personal message? Is it going to be maybe more non-personal or more commercialized. Maybe it's in these mainstream channels, such as television, or in a personal sense, the marketer has really had a chance to dive in and maybe have a customer create a post online, and maybe they are experiencing Taco Bell for the first time and they post about it, or there's a TikTok about it. That's kind of more on the personal level, or it could be word of mouth. And there's a campaign strategy for that. But the channel really indicates the message in if you really consider this, what Marshall McLuhan, who's a communication scholar, mass media scholar back in the 60s, defined this as the medium itself, the channel in which you choose to distribute your message is going to be really the message. So how you execute that campaign is really important in deciding what is going to be the place that this is going to occur in. Where are we going to transmit this message? So for Taco Bell, obviously it was through a commercial campaign, but it could also be in other mass mediums as well. Now the receiving end, right? Us, the consumer, or the receiver of the message, or the potential consumer, right? Is really important as well, because then it involves interpretation. It involves the study of how we will consume the same message in 10 different ways. And this is all based on our worldviews. It is based on our previous experience. It could be based on lots of other attributes as well for the receiver. And that's why it's important to go back and look at your demographic. It's important to consider who your target market is, who you want the receiver to be, if you're the marketer or the advertiser yourself, and trying to create this content specifically for that receiver. And so the receiving end is extremely important, because then we could give feedback, right? And so we lead ourselves into this process. We have the source, and then it's creating a message through some form of a channel, and then it's being received by the audience. And in that process, there's a lot of noise. And for advertisers, it's the advertising clutter that exists in our 21st century, in the digital age. We have so many distractions, and that's essentially what noise is. And so how do advertisers create something that is going to move them beyond and sort of stick out in the minds of the receiver, and actually in this 21st century? The feedback and the interactivity is important, because the receiver can give feedback in multiple ways, and it can be instantaneous and it can be interactive, such as when you redeem a coupon or you sign up for a rewards membership. You download the app, or maybe you post something on Twitter, or submit a Yelp review. These are all signs of feedback within the process of communication. And in the advertising world, these are the ways in which you can do so. And so the role of the source, if we come back to the model itself, is to respond to that. It is to adjust, is to maybe end a campaign or hire a new celebrity to make a testimonial for the next run. It is really the art of adjustment. And in order to do the adjustment, the sender has to be willing to accept all of the feedback. And again, this can come pretty quickly in this digital age that we live in. So all in all, Taco Bell ended the run for the Chihuahua, which I believe his name is Bell. I did a little bit of research on. And unfortunately for this campaign, it didn't necessarily increase sales for Taco Bell overall, but it did create a likeness for the brand itself. And so some marketers would argue that it actually was a huge success because of the fact that it created some positive, outlook on the actual company itself. So that's the communication process applied to advertising.